information in regard to East Palestine. The U.S. EPA, in partnership with an independent contractor, continues to monitor the air in and around East Palestine. To date, they have sampled air in over 500 separate homes. They've also continued to sample air out on the streets and throughout the community. So far, they've had no detection of contaminants, either outside or in the specific homes where they've been asked to monitor. Volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, are generally present in things we come in contact with every day: paint, flooring, carpet, furniture, cigarette smoke. Although the testing in approximately 75 homes did show elevated levels of VOCs, further testing in those 75 homes found that contaminants of concern from the derailment were not present in those homes. So nothing from the train derailment was found in the homes. Nothing was found out on the street. The monitoring will continue, however. Today, more than 24 additional homes are scheduled for air testing. The teams are still taking appointments for those people in East Palestine who want to schedule a screening of their home. That number is 330-849-3919. In summary, in the 500 homes where the air has been tested, no contamination of concern caused by the rail derailment was present in any of these homes. There are in the community 20 monitors strategically located throughout the community to continue to monitor outdoor air. We have a map somewhere, I hope. There's a map there. This is a map from the U.S. EPA that shows all the places where they've taken outdoor air samples over the past 2 weeks. Again, the experts tell me that these monitors are coming back clean for contaminants of concern associated with the train derailment. So this monitoring started very early on. This monitoring will continue. We will continue to do this. So we have 20 monitors. These monitors are moved around, and they will continue to be moved around the community. Let me now talk about water, residential well sampling. As we talked about earlier this week, the testing results from East Palestine's municipal water source have come back. And the results are that drinking water, testing those 5 wells that go into the community system, those 5 wells have all come back clean. The water is safe to drink. We never thought that the municipal water was contaminated, but out of an abundance of caution, our Ohio EPA took samples which were analyzed, and they in fact came back and were shown to be safe. You do not need to drink bottled water if you are on municipal water. If you get your water from a private well, you are encouraged to use bottled water until your water is confirmed to be safe. That, again, is just out of an abundance of caution. To date, 38 private wells have been sampled. More private wells are scheduled for testing today. These samples, unfortunately, take a while to get it back from the lab. So we don't have any results back yet, but we expect them very, very soon to start coming back. Again, to schedule testing for your private well, call 330-849-3919. Let me talk now about the Ohio River. When we met earlier this week, the Ohio EPA discussed the chemical plume in the Ohio River. I'm happy to report this morning that sampling has shown that the plume is now completely dissipated. It was never thought to be a threat, but they could get slight detections. And I want to mention that something I've learned during this is that the Ohio River is monitored normally very extensively. And so they were able to pick up, before they were able to pick up where that plume was. It was never thought to be very high, never thought to be very dangerous, but they could detect it as it moved down river. Now we're told that they cannot detect it at all. To give you some idea of the numbers, the level of concern for this contaminant is 560 parts per billion. Readings yesterday, when we could still get a reading on it, were under 3 parts per billion. So again, Level of concern, 560. Yesterday it was at 3. Today it is at 0. The levels at which this chemical was in the Ohio River have always been very low. We're no longer getting readings at all. I'm told that some water systems along the Ohio River will close their water intake lines for the time being out of an abundance of caution. We understand that. That's perfectly fine, but we do believe that there's no reason to be concerned about water now from the Ohio River, and there's never really been a reason to concern, and we no longer can get any reading at all of this contaminant. Let me go to the local creeks. You know that there's been some video played on TV of circulating a visible physical contamination in one of the local waterways. A section of Sulphur Run that is very near the crash site remains severely contaminated. We knew this. We know this. It's going to take a while to remediate this. It will be remediated, but it's certainly a place to be avoided at this point. Very soon after the crash, Sulphur Run was dammed, so the contamination in that part of the creek does not contaminate any of the other water. It was kept in there and on hold. In fact, teams are pumping clean water from the point of the eastern dam, funneling it away from the contaminated section of the creek and releasing it back into Sulphur Run at the western dam, so diverting it around where the contamination is. This occurred early on after the crash. This allows clean water to bypass the area of the derailment and prevents clean water from picking up contaminants and carrying them into other waterways. The remediation of the water in the direct area of the spill is going to take some time, just as it is taking some time to deal with the dirt. This is not a simple process. We're encouraging people to continue to avoid that area. Now, I know there's been a lot of questions about FEMA and calling in FEMA for aid. At this point, based on what FEMA has told us and continues to tell us, my Chief of Staff talked to them again this morning, we do not qualify for assistance. Although FEMA is synonymous with disaster support, they're most typically involved with disasters where there's tremendous home or property damage, tornadoes, flooding, hurricanes. That's why we do not expect that FEMA will come to East Palestine. However, to make sure that if in the future FEMA is ever needed, we want to preserve our rights to be able to ask them for help. So, to make sure that if FEMA is ever needed in the future to help residents in regard to this crash, we're going to preemptively file a document with FEMA to preserve our rights in case we need their assistance in the future. We believe that the railroad should continue to pay, and we're going to insist that they pay. Whatever damages have been caused, the railroad is responsible for those damages. We're filing this paper with FEMA just in case in the future we need that. Let's say, for example, the railroad stops paying for whatever reason. We're still going to go after the railroad, but we want to make sure that there will be support for people if that support does, in fact, stop from the railroad.